You ever get that feeling when your bank app pings, and for a second, you just stare at it, wondering if you even want to see the balance? Yeah, now imagine that feeling, but you're Will Smith. Sounds wild, right? I mean, we're talking about Will Smith here. One of the biggest movie stars on the planet. Grammy-winning rapper. Global icon. And yet, lately, there's been talk, actually, more like whispers turning into full-on rumors, that he might be selling off some of his homes. Not just one or two, but a whole bunch of them. And not just because he's bored or ready for a change of scenery. Nope. The reason? Apparently, to deal with some seriously big bills. Now, I get it. You're probably thinking, wait, how can Will Smith, of all people, be struggling with money? It sounds crazy. But stick with me. Because once we break it all down, it actually starts to make sense. And honestly, there's a lot we can learn from it too. Even if we're not out here buying million-dollar mansions or producing Hollywood blockbusters. So, let's chat about what's going on. Why someone like Will, someone who seems to have everything, might be tightening his belt a bit. And what that could mean for his future. Okay, so here's what people are saying. Will Smith is offloading some of his properties. Quietly. No flashy headlines or Instagram announcements. Just selling them, one by one. Now, if this were just a vacation house or something minor, no one would even blink. But when we're talking multiple properties, worth tens of millions, that raises some eyebrows. And it's not just about the number of homes, it's what those homes cost to maintain. Think about it. It's not just buying the house, it's staffing it, maintaining it, securing it, paying property taxes, and those taxes on a $40 million estate? Let's just say, that's not your average monthly bill. And this isn't a one-time thing. Will owns, or owned, several big properties across the U.S. homes in Calabasas, Hidden Hills, even Hawaii at one point. These aren't small investments. They're estates. And keeping them up and running? It adds up. Fast. But here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about real estate. There's a bigger picture. And a lot of it has to do with Will's lifestyle, and his responsibilities. Let's be real, Will Smith doesn't exactly live like a minimalist. He's not clipping coupons or flying coach. He's got a team. Personal assistants, chefs, security, groundskeepers. Then there's travel, events, and production costs from his own film projects. He runs businesses, supports his family's careers, and invests in a bunch of things behind the scenes. All of that comes with a price tag. And when your expenses start catching up to your income, even if your income is huge, you feel it. Now, this is where things get a little more personal. Because remember that night at the Oscars? Yeah, that night. The slap heard around the world. When Will walked up and hit Chris Rock on live television, that wasn't just a controversial moment. That was a turning point. See, after that moment, a lot of things changed. Movie studios paused projects. Sponsors backed off. Some deals disappeared altogether. And while Will still had a ton of money in the bank, those big checks that used to come in like clockwork, they slowed down. Maybe not all at once, but enough to make a difference. Think about it like this: if your job suddenly cut your income in half, but your bills stayed exactly the same, you'd feel the pressure too, right? Will's still wealthy. No doubt about that. But wealth isn't always about how much you have, it's also about how much is tied up in things you can't spend right away. And that's something a lot of people don't realize. The rich don't usually have piles of cash just sitting there. Their money's in homes, businesses, stocks. So when they need fast cash, they sell something. And that's exactly what Will might be doing now. Selling assets, not because he's broke, but because he needs liquidity. In other words, cold hard cash to handle what's on his plate. And let's not forget his family. Will's always been a huge supporter of his kids. He helped fund Jaden's eco-water business. He backed Willow's music. He's invested a lot, not just financially, but emotionally. He's been there every step of the way, making sure they have the freedom to build the lives they want. And that's amazing. But again, it costs money. A lot of it. Helping your kids chase their dreams is beautiful. But when you're funding entire ventures, paying teams, and promoting creative projects, it adds up. Especially if those ventures aren't making money yet. Someone's got to keep the engine running. And right now, that someone seems to be Will. So maybe selling a few properties is just his way of managing the load. Lightening the burden. Making sure everything stays balanced. And look, this isn't necessarily a sign that things are falling apart. In fact, it might be the opposite. It might mean he's planning something big. Clearing out the clutter. Streamlining his finances. Prepping for a comeback. Because here's the thing, Will Smith isn't just some actor. He's a builder. He creates. He reinvents himself. And if we've learned anything from his career, it's that he doesn't stay down for long. Some celebrity wealth managers have even said, this kind of move? It's smart. Not a panic sell. Just strategy. You shift things around, free up some cash, and get ready for your next chapter. And honestly, that makes total sense. Think about it like chess. You don't just move your pieces randomly. You think ahead. You sacrifice one thing to gain another. That might be exactly what Will's doing. Now, all this makes you wonder, how many of us think celebrities never have money problems? Like they're immune to the stress the rest of us deal with? You know, it's funny how we sometimes forget that stress doesn't pick and choose. It doesn't care how much money you make, how many awards you've won, or how many followers you've got on Instagram. Stress doesn't check your IMDb profile before knocking on your door. And money stress? That one's especially sneaky. Whether you're juggling rent and groceries or managing multi-million-dollar real estate portfolios, that pressure hits the same spot in your chest. That little twist in your stomach. That late-night worry. That, what if I can't keep up, feeling. It's all part of the same human experience. And if someone like Will Smith, someone who's been on top of the world for decades, can still feel that pressure creeping in? Then maybe, just maybe, it's okay if the rest of us feel it too. Maybe we don't need to beat ourselves up for struggling sometimes. Maybe we're not doing anything wrong. Maybe life is just, life. I mean, think about it. Will Smith has been in the spotlight for over 30 years. He's had hit TV shows, blockbuster movies, chart-topping songs. He's entertained generations of fans. He's inspired millions. He's done more in one career than most people could dream of doing in 5 lifetimes. And yet, even with all of that, he still has to deal with the numbers. The spreadsheets. The phone calls. The expenses. The decisions. The stuff none of us really see. That's the thing we forget. From the outside, it looks like fame solves everything. Like once you make it big, all your problems just vanish. But behind the scenes? There's a whole different story playing out. And sometimes, that story includes tough choices. Like letting go of things you once thought you'd hold on to forever. So maybe selling off a few mansions isn't some dramatic fall from grace. Maybe it's just part of growing up. Or growing wiser. Or both. It's easy to assume that celebrities never have to think about budgets or bills, but the truth is, they do. Maybe not in the exact same way we do, but the pressure? That's real. And in Will's case, it's not like he's just tossing away houses for no reason. These are thoughtful moves. Strategic decisions. Choices made with intention. Downsizing, streamlining, shifting focus, whatever you want to call it, it's still a form of taking control. And honestly, that's something a lot of us can relate to. I mean, who hasn't had to sit down at some point and make a few hard choices? Maybe cancel a subscription. Delay a vacation. Move into a smaller apartment. Switch from name brand to store brand. We've all been there in our own way. So when someone like Will Smith does something similar, just on a way bigger scale, it reminds us that being smart with money isn't about how much you have. It's about how well you manage it. And look, Will Smith is still Will Smith. He's still got talent. Still has drive. Still has fans who love him. Still has stories to tell and projects to build. A few financial pivots don't take any of that away. If anything, they show a level of maturity. A willingness to adapt. A quiet kind of strength that isn't always flashy, but it's powerful. Because real power? It's not in how much stuff you can buy. It's in knowing when to let go of the stuff that no longer serves you. And honestly, I think that's what Will might be doing here. He's making room. Clearing space. Whether it's for peace of mind or for a new chapter, it's still a move rooted in self-awareness. And you know what? That's actually inspiring. Because we all have those moments. Moments when we realize something's got to change. Maybe things just aren't working the way they used to. Maybe we've outgrown certain situations. Maybe life forced us to slow down. Maybe we simply want something different. It's not always easy, but those turning points, they matter. They shape who we become next. So when we look at Will Smith, yes, even with all his success, and see him making tough decisions, it hits a little different. It humanizes him. It reminds us that even the biggest stars still go through very real, very normal challenges. And if he's strong enough to face those challenges head-on, then so are we. Maybe you're watching this right now and you're in one of those seasons yourself. Maybe you've been trying to keep everything together and it's been wearing you down. Maybe you've been wondering why things feel so heavy, even though you're doing your best. Just know this, you're not alone. Not at all. Life gets messy. Sometimes it gets loud and overwhelming. Sometimes it feels like you're the only one going through it. But you're not. Really, you're not. And if a man who's played superheroes, saved the world in movies, topped music charts, and stood on the biggest stages in the world can still find himself in a season of financial recalibration, then it's okay for you and me to pause, reset, and rethink things too. Because it's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about learning to ride the waves instead of pretending they're not there. It's about asking for help when you need it. About letting go of pride and taking care of what matters most. And maybe that's what Will is doing. Taking care of what matters. Making sure his family's okay. Making sure his businesses are stable. Making sure he's ready for whatever comes next, whether that's a comeback, a new venture, or just some much-needed rest. And let's be real, he deserves that. We all do. Sometimes, we glorify the grind so much that we forget rest is part of the process too. We praise the hustle, the expansion, the constant chasing, but we forget that slowing down isn't failure. It's wisdom. It's awareness. It's health. And it takes courage. So maybe Will selling off some properties isn't about losing anything. Maybe it's about gaining peace. Clarity. Space. A little room to breathe. And maybe that's something all of us need more of. So what do you think? Is Will setting himself up for a big return? Is this a behind-the-scenes reset before a brand new chapter? Or is it a quiet retreat to protect his peace and realign with his priorities? Whatever the reason, it's clear he's being intentional. He's not out here spiraling. He's moving with purpose. And that's something worth respecting. I'd love to hear what you think about all this. Really. Your perspective matters. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Have you ever had to let go of something big to make space for something better? Have you gone through a season where you had to adjust, simplify, or just make some uncomfortable choices to keep going? Share your story, you never know who it might help. And hey, if you find stories like this interesting, if you like seeing the real side of public figures, the human moments behind the headlines, then you'll definitely want to check out the video we did on Johnny Depp. That one goes deep. It's raw, it's surprising, and it shows just how far someone can fall, and rise again. His journey is intense but also really motivating. So yeah, check that one out after this. You won't regret it. And if this video gave you something to think about, helped you feel a little less alone, or even just made you go, wow, I didn't know that, go ahead and hit that like button. Maybe even subscribe if you're into these kinds of honest, thoughtful stories. We'd love to have you as part of the community. And if there's someone in your life who thinks celebrities never struggle, someone who needs a gentle reminder that everyone's got their own stuff going on behind the scenes, feel free to send this video their way. Because at the end of the day, behind the glitz and glamour, behind the red carpets and flashing lights, we're all just people trying to figure life out. Trying to keep going. Trying to find balance. And that's the real story here. It's not about scandal. It's not about drama. It's about reality. It's about what happens when life shifts, and you have to shift with it. So thank you for spending this time with me. For listening. For reflecting. For being open. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, take care of yourself. Seriously. Give yourself some grace. You're doing better than you think.